Now, Porsha, why do I get the feeling that you've been dodging Drew? Let's talk about it.
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about it.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxiie with Roxiie Says, and we're going to talk about it. Today, we are reviewing The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 3. Okay, now, baby, I saw the taglines. Not one of them impressed me, if I'm being honest. Not a one, okay? But you can let me know how you feel about them down below. Let's get right into this review. But before we do, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you are made aware every time I post a new video. All right, y'all, let's get into this episode. So it opens up and we see Britt talking about being a video vixen since high school. And I said, yikes, baby. She also says that she dated Rick Ross. And I'm like, girl, you're saying these things like it's a flex, and it's really not, especially being in that predatory ass industry of a video vixen when you were in high school. I hate that for you. And she says, you know, even though I was with all these ballers and rappers and all of that, when I met Mike, I knew that he was more husband material. And she says that being with him has been the best 3 years of her life. Okay, honey? And we also see Mike, he's just chilling. He's sipping on that champagne. I said, all right, Mike, you better sip, honey. So she says that she invited some family over and she's filling them in on meeting up with the ladies, and she's letting them know how everything went down. And from this scene alone, we can already tell that Britt is going to make Kenya not hugging her and asking her about her ring or being married her entire storyline. Britt, find something else. This is ridiculous at this point. If this is your game plan for the whole season, well, we know something's gonna go down in the next episode. But baby, you can already see that Britt was gonna be on Kenya's ass for no reason at all, because what Kenya did was really not much. It really wasn't much. So then we hear Mike saying that he wants a kid like yesterday. And I'm like, well, this energy is pretty different from the energy we saw in the previous episode when he kept talking about allegedly. But Britt now says that she wants a wedding ceremony first. I'm like, Britt, I thought that you wanted a kid like yesterday. Y'all got to get y'all storyline straight, okay? But when Britt tries to talk about it more, Mike says that he doesn't want to discuss it right now. So Britt goes downstairs to the cellar with her sister-in-law, and she tells her that family is so important to her because she lost her dad in 2015. She says that he was a huge mortgage industry professional, and her dad had a $2 million life insurance policy for her mom, but her mom didn't get it because when her dad passed away, he was in between jobs, okay? So she says that that's the reason why she started her agency, because she had to actually put up a GoFundMe to help pay for her father's final expenses, and she doesn't want anyone else to ever have to go through that. So Britt says that she was extremely close to her sisters, but the relationship is now strained since she sold her insurance company. And according to Britt, one sister felt like she was too tough in the workplace, and then the other one was just lazy, okay? Now, I'm sure that both of those sisters will have their own version of the truth, and baby, from what I heard, Britt's little insurance company is actually a little scheme that Todd set up. Yeah, that's what I heard. And they have some not so nice ratings and a couple of complaints down at the Better Business Bureau. But that's all alleged, and you ain't hear from me, okay? So, child, next we see Kelli and Porsha. They're meeting up for lunch, and the vibe is off. The vibe is off immediately as soon as Kelli sits down. They offer her something to drink, and she's like, I don't know if I'm drinking right now. I don't know if I'm going to drink, okay? So Porsha says in her confessional that she is optimistic about finally seeing a different side of Kelli. But in Kelli's confessional, she says that the vibe is already off. And I'm like, yeah, girl, because of you. Because of you. How do you have the type of interaction that you had with Porsha and then your vibe is off, as if Porsha did something to you? I'm kind of lost, all right? So they show us a flashback of Kelli inviting Porsha to her Mommy and Me event, and she says that she just wants to smooth things over, make sure everything is good between them before the actual event. Girl, with the energy that you brought to Porsha your very first time meeting her, you shouldn't be inviting her anywhere, real talk. You really shouldn't. So Porsha tells Kelli, I don't know what to expect from you because you be given different personalities. And in Kelli's confessional, she says, all right, well, I have different personalities. Porsha has different men. Okay, that's how that's going to go. I do find Kelli to be a bit delulu, right? To approach Porsha in the way that she did and not expect for Porsha to be apprehensive about meeting up with her again. If I was shady to somebody in a group setting, I was already fully prepared for them to not like me before I said whatever the hell I said, and I didn't give a damn about it. Like, let's be realistic. If you approach someone like that, you shouldn't then turn around and expect them to be gung-ho about meeting up with you. It doesn't matter who it is, okay? So Kelli tells Porsha that she just wanted to figure out what the story was about her and Simon, and Porsha says, that's not how it was brought to me, okay? So Kelli is definitely presenting it, in my opinion, in a more caring and nicer way than the energy that she had and the energy that we saw, even when she asked Porsha at the party, the energy was not what she's trying to present now, okay? She's like, I just wanted to know what was going on. That's not the energy that you were giving, sis. But we know people act differently when they have an audience to impress, okay? But Kelli tells her that Shamia told her to ask Porsha herself, and Porsha doesn't like that. And I'm like, girl, what's wrong with that? Is Shamia your publicist? Is Shamia your assistant? Shamia actually was defending you in the moment, and all she did was tell Kelli, look, I don't want to be in this. I already told you what it was, but if you have any further questions, direct it straight to Porsha. Go to Porsha and ask her. But Porsha took it as Shamia setting her up to be ambushed. Girl, where did you get that from? How is that a setup for you to be ambushed? And didn't you say that Shamia is your best friend? You should already know where she's coming from with it. So I'm not understanding that. It seems like Porsha wants a problem with Shamia at this point. And we're going to see Porsha's mother say some foolishness. That pretty much confirms it for me, okay? But Porsha and Kelli, they share a little laugh about the whole situation. And now Kelli is so happy that the air has been cleared and she feels comfortable enough to have a drink. And Porsha tells Kelli that even though she called her a troll earlier, now she's her treasure troll. And Kelli just can't wait to tell Shamia that her and Porsha have made up and now they're cool. All right. So now we're in the next scene. We see Kenya, Cynthia, and Angela. They're showing up to one of Drew's little studio sessions. And the song that Drew was singing, it sounded really good to me. And it was produced by Dennis. And I said, okay, so at least we know that they actually are down at the studio making some beats. Okay. So Angela tells the ladies that she got real close with the concierge at her and Charles's apartment just so that she can keep tabs on him. Now listen, okay. We always make it over here. We make it our business to be super close with the concierge. We give them Starbucks gift cards and all that because they be giving us all the tea. So I definitely understand exactly what she's talking about. All right. So Kenya wants to talk about Drew and Dennis because Dennis isn't there at the session, but he's supposed to be the executive producer. And Drew keeps trying to change the subject. She's asking them if they want tea, if they want champagne. And Kenya's like, no. Let's talk about this right now. Okay. So Drew says that her and Porsha, they text about the whole Dennis situation. And Drew says that her and Dennis don't talk on the phone because they have a strictly business relationship. Child, production rolled the clip back of Drew actually being on the phone with Dennis because she claims that he never answers his phone. And we also see that she has Dennis saved in her phone as Dennis Bro. Dennis Bro. So if it's strictly business, why does it need to be Dennis Bro? Why can't it just be Dennis? Why can't it just be his first name, his last name? I don't know. It's giving a little bit more than business, but like I already said, this whole thing is giving storyline, okay? I do not think that Drew and Dennis are actually messing around, but I guess only time will tell. But Drew says that she has always been picked on in this group, and Kenya tells her not to play victim because she brought a lot of these situations on herself. And she says that she was dead wrong for working with Dennis without speaking to Porsha first. But Drew does pull up a couple of receipts of her reaching out to Porsha numerous times, okay? And Porsha's getting back to her days later or canceling once they've confirmed to lock something in. So honestly, I think that Porsha knew exactly what Drew wanted to speak to her about. I think that she already knew because remember, Porsha said that Dennis actually showed her the text messages between him and Drew talking about working on some music together. So it looks like Porsha was dodging Drew on purpose, in my opinion. And maybe Porsha was under the impression that if she actually didn't have a conversation with Drew just wouldn't work with Dennis because she didn't get Porsha's blessing. But clearly that is not what happened, okay? But I still think that Drew could have picked up the phone and called Porsha, or at least definitively said in her text message what she wanted to speak about, okay? Because a lot of it was like, hey girl, let's meet up, let's talk. But I feel like Drew not calling Porsha also, that definitely shows that they aren't as close as Porsha was trying to portray in the first place. It's just a whole mess, okay? Because honestly, after the third attempt, Drew should have just called, left a voice message, okay, along with the corresponding text message saying, hey girl, I've been trying to reach out to you. Just want to let you know that I will be working with Dennis on some music, okay? I bet you Porsha would have found some time to speak about it then. But Cynthia does make a great point, and she says, look, when Kenya wanted to work with Leon on a movie, she made sure to reach out to me. She made sure to get my blessing, which Drew did not do. But I'm like, Drew's been trying to get, am I missing something? It looks like Drew was actively trying to get Porsha's blessing on this situation, okay? So Kenya lets Drew know that she's been talked about like a whore, a whore. And I'm like, Kenya is so extra. Kenya is so extra. Bring her back now. I would have loved to hear all of Kenya's confessionals about all of these scenes, especially from the previous episode with Britt crying over not getting a damn hug. Child, I would have loved to see Kenya's confessional on that, okay? So then Angela tells the ladies that Shamia blew up on her when she asked her about saying Drew was fucking Dennis, okay? And Shamia made it a point to say, I did not say fucking, But in the studio, both Angela and Kenya are swearing up and down that that is what Shamia said. So I'm happy that production rolled the tape back, because what Shamia actually said was, "Are you dating Dennis?" She did not use the F word, but Drew did say that Porsha reached out to her after Shamia's birthday party, and now they are going to speak about it. And I'm like, okay, so Porsha does have time now. Yeah, we gonna see. We gonna see. So Cynthia lets Drew know that baby daddies just hit different. And I said, Cynthia, your hair is hitting different and not in a good way. I don't know what's been going on with Sin this season. 50 Cent, what has been going on with some of these? I don't know. I don't like it, especially in this scene. All right. So next we are with Shamia and her two sisters, and she is extremely close to her sisters. And Shamia says that she doesn't know what she would do without them, especially with everything that she went through with Shiloh. And Shamia gets really emotional, talking about all of the things that she's dealt with over the past year. And she's so thankful to have her sisters and her mom to lean on. Even with one of her sisters having lupus, she was able to still be there for her, okay? So Shamia says that she's extremely nervous about looking for another surrogate, and even thinking back to the failed IVF treatments that she's had. And remember, she also had an ectopic pregnancy. You can really see how hard this journey has been, and it's going to continue to be, especially with them looking for another surrogate. And honestly, I feel like Shamia should just pour all of her time and energy into Shiloh and Shia right now, because it doesn't seem like y'all are out of the woods with Shiloh yet. And also, I'm curious, is this really what Shamia wants? Is there some pressure around jumping right back into this process? Is it that she really wants the babies? Is it that Gerald really wants the babies? I don't know. But it just seems like a lot, and it doesn't seem like they've actually taken a chance to just breathe. But that's just my opinion. I don't know these people. I'm just someone on the internet making videos, okay? So next we are with Angela, and she's pulling up to her investment property number 3 in Sandy Springs. This property is $850,000, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3,600 square feet. And I said, child, that would be a cute 4.55 milli in New York City, okay? And we also see Charles. He pulls up like 30 minutes later after she done did all the heavy lifting. And you can see that Angela is the more hands-on person with these projects, okay? And she says that she wants to prove herself to Charles of being worthy of his trust with her projects. And I'm like, girl, I thought you've been doing this. You've been doing this before you even got with him, right? So your resume should speak for itself, and he should be giving you his props. I don't think that she should feel like she has to prove herself to Charles, but whatever. So she says that she wants to do a vow renewal, and she tells the story about when they just got married back in 2017, and they attended a basketball game. But since Charles and the owner of the team, they had bad blood, he was kicked out of Madison Square Garden. And the way that Angela tells this story, it seems like there are a couple of missing pieces, but what I gathered from it is that when he got kicked out of the game, he was really upset. He was probably at home being an a-hole, okay, to the point where they had to live separately for a little while, because she says that she just couldn't fix him. And remember, she says that they went to therapy previously in the previous episode. And remember, in my previous review, I said that when she discussed them going to therapy, she said that what she learned was that she needed to change a lot of things about herself, okay? Even though she wanted him to change things about himself, what she learned was that she needed to change a lot of things about herself. And I was under the impression that he didn't change a damn thing. He didn't change a damn thing. And the way that she told this story just adds to that, in my opinion. But she says that they had to work through things at a distance, okay? So them recommitting means a lot to her. So the conversation of therapy comes up, and Charles claims that they've been paying their therapist, Wendy, $3,000 a month. And Angela's like, no, it has not been $3,000. It's only been $1,200. And she feels like they really need it. And I bet y'all do. And I bet y'all do. It's so funny because a lot of men will understand that things need maintenance, okay? Something doesn't have to totally crash out in order for you to seek some help. But they understand when that car needs some preventative maintenance, right? But not their marriage. Child, I digress. So next we meet up with Drew and her lawyer. And apparently at the last divorce hearing, Ralph did not have his lawyer, and he was cross-examining Drew. Now, where the do they do that at? Seriously, is that really what happened? That is crazy. I can only imagine Ralph and that head cross-examining Drew with that stank-ass smirk he always has on his face. Child, I would have blew up. And now I'm also like, okay, are y'all really getting a divorce, or is this just being dragged out for the show too? Because Ralph brought his ass online and said that Drew was actually lying about him requesting alimony and child support. And we also see that Ralph has now started his own podcast called Basement Dweller Ralph or some shit like that. But Drew says that it's been a year and a half, and her goal is to get Ralph out of the house and eventually sell the place. But Ralph is claiming that he can't afford to move out and pay for a second household. So that's why he's in the basement. But Drew's lawyer says, well, we don't know what he can or can't afford because we haven't seen his finances. And he's refusing to turn his finances over. Mind you, he has all access to Drew's finances, though. He has all access to her finances and he has none to hers. Drew, are you an idiot? Drew, are you an idiot? Why would you allow Ralph to have access to your documents and you have none to his? The same way that he went out and bought that house and you allowed him to not tell you shit and you just moved right in like everything was cool, right? But Drew's lawyer says that Ralph cross-examining her speaks volumes to his manipulation tactics. So we learned that their divorce documents are sealed, but they will soon be open. So that means that all of the documents about Ralph being a serial cheater, sexting other women texting Drew about her man, how he's been tracking Drew, all of that is going to come out. And Drew gets emotional at the thought of her kids finding all of this out. Girl, you on reality TV. They're going to find out a whole lot of shit, okay? And honestly, what does Ralph do? Have we ever gotten that question answered? Because I remember a couple of seasons ago, everyone was wondering, do we know what Ralph does or how he makes his money? Please let me know in the comments if you remember, because I can't, okay? So next we see Porsha getting massages with her mom, Miss Diane, and they're talking about the divorce. And Porsha says that this is different because with Cordell, she felt like they were going through the process together. But in this situation, her and Simon aren't even speaking. So she says this feels unreal because she doesn't know this version of Simon. And I said, girl, you ain't know Simon at all. But clearly you knew him well enough to have your daughter sitting on his lap, but that's neither here nor there, okay? But Porsha has reached out to multiple people around Simon to get him to speak to her, but he still refuses. She says that she actually reached out to his uncles because in their custom, you are supposed to be able to reach out to the elders and they should be able to assist you or to intervene in some way. But they told her, girl, just go through the courts. They said they don't want no parts of this mess, okay? And I'm like, well, what did you want them to do? What did you expect them to do, Porsha? To stop the divorce? To make Simon speak to you? I'm not understanding what her goal was in reaching out to them. So then Porsha tells her mom about Shamia telling her what Kelli said. And Diane doesn't like that Shamia brought news to Porsha. And she tells Porsha to watch the dog that brings the bone. And I'm like, oh, Diane, stop. Just stop it. Because had Shamia not said anything, y'all would have a problem with that too. Why wouldn't Shamia tell Porsha what was being said about her? And let's not forget, Shamia defended Porsha in that conversation. It's giving, like I said before, y'all are looking for an excuse to be mad at Shamia. That's what it's giving, because that makes no sense to me at all right? So next we see clips of all of the ladies getting ready for Kelly's Mommy and Me event, and she is so excited to be bringing awareness to her cause with the help of Balmain, okay? Now, I always thought that the brand was Balmain, but child, Kelly and these people's store, she got a whole brand deal with them. So I'm just gonna assume that Kelly knows way better than I do. But ain't Kelly a tiny little thing? She's so tiny. How tall is she? She looks like a child amongst all of these ladies. She really does. So we learn more about her cause, and it is for osteogenesis imperfecta, or OI, also known as brittle bones disease, which is a birth defect that 3 of her daughters actually were diagnosed with, okay? And she says that she had an absolutely horrible experience. She noticed that something was wrong with one of her daughter's arms, brought her daughter to the hospital, and child, they called CPS. Cops were there, and she was not allowed to see the children because they thought that she was actually abusing her children. Thankfully, one of the doctors were able to determine what the child actually had, and only after that was she allowed to see her child. Crazy experience, okay? So the event, like I said before, is actually at the Balmain store, and everyone is showing up with their flower dresses. Child, the ladies look amazing. The little daughters look amazing. Everyone looks so cute in their dresses. And we learned that 10% of the proceeds will be donated to the OI Foundation. And baby, just like myself, Miss Kenya Moore was actually shocked to see that Porsha arrived on time. And I'm like, she actually arrived early because she got there before Kelly started giving her speech, okay? But she tells Kenya that her and Drew actually share the same makeup artist. And apparently when the artist told Drew that Porsha was their next appointment, Drew started slowing down. And I'm like, well, that is a messy ass makeup artist, because why did they even tell Porsha that? Just messy, messy, messy. Okay, so Cynthia shows up. I absolutely loved Cynthia's pantsuit. I loved everything about it. Hated the hair. Cynthia, what is going on this season? girl, is everything okay? But nonetheless, she still looks amazing, okay? So Shamea and Angela, they show up, and Angela is hoping that Shamea remains respectful since their last meeting at the gym didn't go too well. We then see Kenya greet Britt with that hug that she is so desperately wanting, okay? That damn hug that she didn't get upon their first meeting, and it's all she's been talking about ever since. Kenya gave her that hug, and Kenya complimented her as well. But watch Britt still be mad about their first meetup like a damn weirdo, okay? So now Shamea and Angela are deciding if they want to speak to each other or how they want to go about it. And Shamea tells Porsha that Angela has a nose from the 90s. So we see Drew. She comes in, and I absolutely loved Drew's bob. Her bob looks so good on her. I loved everything about it, okay? But how you come in after Porsha if the makeup artist was doing your makeup first, child? I don't know how that worked out, but I still find it interesting that Porsha was able to be early to this event, but late to her best friend's event, okay? So Kenya's like, hey, Porsha's over there. You want to go speak to her? You can't miss those hips. She right over there. And Drew says, well, you know, if we naturally bump into each other, then I'll speak to her, but I'm not determined to speak to her. I'm not going to force anything, okay? Child, then we see Angela. She approaches Shamea about the not so nice meeting that they had at the gym, and they did not get off on the right foot. And child, Shamea's like, yeah, we sure didn't. We did not get off on the right foot. And honestly, I was a little taken aback by that response. I did not expect Shamea to be on that type of time, because I'm like, girl, is everything okay? And she's like, I would love to meet Angela and not Drew's representative. Now, Shamea, we all know that you've been Porsha's representative, right? Because you were speaking on Porsha's behalf, asking Drew questions on Porsha's behalf. So it's very interesting coming from you, but I'm still not understanding why she's so mad at Angela. Like, her response, in my opinion, wasn't warranted. Even if she wanted to be shady, it didn't need all of that. I'm like, where's that coming from? So Shamea says, you know what you gonna think, whatever. I don't need to speak to you. I'm good on you. And Angela's like, okay, but why are you so upset? Why are you being so mean? You're a mean girl. And Angela calls her Shamina, okay? So Shamea tells Angela, you know what? Back up from me with that 99 nose, child. Then we see Angela say, okay, Flavor Flav. And I was like, damn, hold on a minute. Because the nose comment was effed up, especially if that's something that Angela can't change, right? Maybe she can't get another surgery to fix it or whatever. And maybe it's a huge insecurity of hers. But when Angela said Flavor Flav, I was like, girl, did you only say that because Shamea's dark skin? Is that why you said it? But then we see Angela say she says it because Flavor Flav was the biggest hype man, and that's what Shamea is for Porsha. And then they showed a pic of Shamea actually being Flavor Flav for Halloween one year, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this one slide, but I got my eye on you, Angela. If I peep that you decide to make certain jokes with certain people moving forward, I got your number, okay? I got my eye on you, Angela. Meanwhile, Shamea is asking for glue to glue the sides of Angela's nose back. And she calls her LaToya Jackson, and she's like, but it's all good. I love the Jacksons. Here come Porsha talking about, listen. Y'all are wrong, okay? But we see Angela tell Shamea to get her nose up out of Porsha's ass, all right? So then we see Drew. She goes to Shamea, and they hug, and Shamea apologizes if she embarrassed Drew at the party because she says that was not her intentions. They hug it out again. They agree to move on, okay? So we see that Kelly's foundation raised $30,000, and she is very thankful. The ladies opened up their pocketbooks for some new pocketbooks, and we finally see Drew go over to speak to Porsha, okay? Because I feel like Drew was a little scared. She was hiding behind big mama sister Allison, all right? So Porsha starts coughing, and she's like, yeah, I wasn't feeling too good this week. Let's talk about next week. I'm like, what happened to your voice? Because just a second ago, you was talking about hee, right? So Drew was like, well, why can't we just talk now? We're both here. And this right here, this is why I feel like Porsha has been dodging Drew about speaking about this situation. Could Drew have been more direct in her text messages? Yes, she could have. But Porsha knew. I don't care what y'all say. Porsha already knew through Dennis what Drew wanted to talk about. She had to have known. Dennis showed her the text messages. And she's still trying to dodge the conversation even now. Because if they don't talk about it, right? If they don't speak about it and nothing is cleared up, then Porsha gets to stay mad and say, well, we never spoke about it. She never came to me. We didn't confirm anything, okay? But Drew is actively trying to reach out to Porsha. We saw it. So in Porsha's confessional, she's like, Drew came up to me on some, oh, I want to talk about it right now. So let's talk now. That is not how Drew approached you. That is not how she approached you. And we can see that Drew has been trying to speak to you about it. And every time she does, it's an excuse. Now you're sick. Let's try for next week. And I'm sure next week will come and it'll be another excuse. Okay. She's been trying to reach out to you, Porsha. Porsha feels like the only reason why Drew wants to talk to her now is because Allison is here. Girl, I don't think that you would have had the conversation even if Allison wasn't there. But I guess Porsha is saying, okay, if things pop off, I can take Drew, but I cannot take Allison. I cannot take big sister Allison, okay? And Porsha calls her Heavy D in her confessional. Now, Porsha, that was unnecessary and rude. We know that you would not say that to Allison's face, but they don't speak about anything. Nothing gets resolved. And honestly, if I was Drew at this point, I might reach out to Porsha one more time. One more time. But if you dodge and cancel again, it is what it is at this point, right? And she can be as mad as she wants to be because Drew now has proof of her trying to reach out to Porsha and talk about this multiple times. So we'll see what happens in the next episode, okay? I did see an interview where Porsha said that she is now cool with Drew. I also see that Kenya had posted #traitor in her stories, and this was after Porsha had posted a picture of her linking up with Britt, right? Like there's some besties, child. So it's a mess. It's a mess. Let me know all your thoughts below. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you are made aware when I post my next upload. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.
Roxiie says we're gonna